former aide blames BUSH for CIA leak. Bottom line, Washington, former White House Press Secretary Scott McClellan blames President BUSH and Vice President Dick Cheney for efforts to mislead the public, to lie to the public about the role of White House aides in leaking the identity of CIA operative Valerie Plame. And an expert from his forthcoming book, McClellan recounts the 2003 news conference in which he told reporters that aides Karl Rove and I. Louis Scooter Libby were not involved in the leak involving Plame. There was one problem. It was not true. McClellan writes, according to a brief expert from the forthcoming book. I had unknowingly passed along false information, and 5 of the highest ranking officials in the administration were involved in my doing so. Rove, Libby, the Vice President, the President's Chief of Staff, and the very President himself. BUSH's Chief of Staff at the time was Andrew Card. The expert posted on the website of publisher Public Affairs brings up questions about what went on in the West Wing and how much BUSH and Dick Cheney knew about the leak. Well, of course they knew. They started it all. For years, it was McClellan's job to field and often duck and lie about those types of questions. Now that he's spurring them, answers are equally hard to come by. White House Press Secretary Dana Perino said it wasn't clear what McClellan meant in the excerpt. Plame issued a statement saying, yes, it's true. I am outraged to learn that former White House Press Secretary Scott McClellan confirms that he was sent out to lie to the press corps. Plame said, even more shocking, McClellan confirms that not only Karl Rove and Scooter Libby told him to lie, but Vice President Cheney, Presidential Chief of Staff, and President BUSH also ordered McClellan to issue his misleading, lying statements. Plame maintains the White House quietly outed her to reporters. Plame and her husband, former Ambassador Joseph Wilson, said the leak was retribution for his public criticism of the Iraq War. The accusation dogged the administration and made Plame a cause célèbre among many Democrats. McClellan's book, What Happened, isn't due out until April, and the excerpt was merely a teaser. It doesn't get into detail about how BUSH and Cheney were involved or reveal what happened behind the scenes. Yet the teaser provides enough fodder for administration critics. In the fall of 2003, after authorities began investigating the leak, McClellan told reporters that he had personally spoken to Rove, who was BUSH's top political advisor, and Libby, who was Cheney's chief of staff. They're good individuals. They're important members of our White House team, and that's why I spoke with them, so that I could come back to you and say they were not involved, McClellan said at the time. Both men, however, were involved. Rove was one of the original sources for the newspaper column that identified Plame. Libby also spoke to reporters about the CIA officer and was convicted of lying about those discussions. He is the only person to be charged in the case. Since that news conference, however, the official White House stance has shifted, or story has shifted, and it has been difficult to get a clear picture of what really happened behind closed doors around the time of the leak. All this would make what Nixon did laughable. McClellan's flat denials gave way to a steady drumbeat of no comment. And BUSH's original pledge to fire anyone involved in the leak became a promise to fire anyone who committed a crime or just to commute their sentence and give them a full pardon and diplomatic immunity. In a CNN interview earlier this year, McClellan made no suggestion that BUSH knew either Libby or Rowe was involved in the leak, but now he's changed the story. Perhaps now he's decided to tell the truth. McClellan said his statements to reporters were what he and the president believed to be true at the time, based on assurances that we were both given, or something like that. BUSH most recently addressed the issue in July after commuting Libby's 30-month prison term. He acknowledged that some in the White House were involved in the leak. Then, after repeatedly denying and declining to discuss the ongoing investigation, he said the case was closed and it was time to move on, BUSH said. Well, of course, that's what liars always do. They don't want to talk about it. When you start confronting them on it, they want to move on, talk about something else. Anyway, BUSH, if you look at the alphabetical order of the alphabet, separate the letters, put them next to all the other letters, BUSH is connected with all kinds of bad four-letter words. Just look at the alphabet. Then look at BUSH. There you go. They're all right beside each other. All kinds, just all kinds of four-letter words. I think there's something to that. It's not a coincidence, no. This is another sign of the last days. Period.